And we're back. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Kayfabe Corner. This is, of course, your host, JPO. We have a bit of a unique episode this time. I think for the first time ever, we have two guests on the show here. It's not just a one-on-one conversation with someone involved in the world of pro wrestling in Florida. I'm here with two men. First, you know him. He was recently on the show, ladies and gentlemen. You know him. You love him. Maybe you hate him. I don't know. It's Prestin Caine. Prestin, say hi.
Hello, everybody. Hopefully you don't hate me, but if you do, I understand.
It's understandable. And for the first time joining us here on the show, ladies and gents, the one, the only, Jeff Weaver. Jeff, how you doing, buddy?
Not too bad, Jordan. Thanks for having me on here tonight.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So it's a fun, unique episode here because we're talking about, well, you can see it here in my background. Bam, look at that.
That's a beautiful thing.
Big news came out. I know I had several people hit me up about it. A lot of people are excited. A lot of people want some more info. Maybe you guys can give them a little taste here. Let's start though from the beginning, not all the way from the beginning with the company, but let's start off with the new beginning. Where does this start? I mean, one of you guys tell me, man, where does this idea come from? How does it happen? What can we expect? I mean, looking for all sorts of details, whatever you can give us.
It started with the ghost. All right. And I'm going to tell you that right now. And Jeff can tell you more. But it started with a ghost. And I don't know if I'm letting too much out the bag, Jeff. You got to text me later and curse me out. Okay.
Okay.
Tell it, Jeff.
Came in a little bit later. But that kind of sealed the deal in. Well,
okay.
Man.
What? A ghost? Can someone explain this a little bit more?
Yeah.
It's not too bad, Jeff.
He's a little ahead of the game there, but yeah. Well, I'd say about a year ago, 10 months ago, I was laying in a hospital bed. I'd fallen off of a roof and broke my back. And Preston came to the hospital several times and seen me. And I was just in a bad way, man. I was just really starting to have some fun in the wrestling business and moving around, doing some cool stuff. And it just seemed like, my whole world was coming to an end, And, Preston just kept pushing me. He's like, man, why don't you start a promotion? And I'm like, man, I don't know. There's a million promotions in the state of Florida already. The last thing it needs is another one, Well, I'm laying there in that old hospital bed and I pick up a newspaper that they brought in and, sat on the end of my bed there. And it was a Tampa Tribune and there was an article in there about the Sportatorium. So I started reading it. Well, it had a little blurb in there about it was sold to a new owner and the guy wanted to try to keep the rich wrestling history of the building. So I didn't have much to do. I'm laying in a hospital bed. I can't get up and walk around or nothing. So I grabbed the phone and I ended up tracking this guy down. And, I told him I read your article and, I'm your guy. I know every one of the guys that wrestled in that building and I'm sure we could put something together to get this done. Well, in the meantime, it was a maybe. There was a couple of people on the list that wanted to rent the building in front of me, but I didn't consider that really an option. I told him then, there's nobody on the list. It doesn't matter if there were people here first. I'm going to end up getting this building. I feel it. Well, about 10 months goes by and a few other pieces of the puzzle start landing in our laps. And we end up, going to the building one day just to check it out, And, my wife's into the ghost hunting and all that kind of stuff. I have a cousin who's on TV quite often. And my wife actually knew who he was before I even knew he was my cousin. So at one of my family reunions, my wife freaks out. Oh my God, this is the guy I've been watching on TV for years. I'm like, wow, pretty awesome. Well, my wife got really into it. She has the little ghost hunting kits or whatever. And we're at the building and I'm talking to Frank Reyes. And I started laying in on the line to Frankie. I was like, well, here's what I got. Do you think the guys from the Legends Lunch would be willing to, get involved in this if we had this, and this? And he said, yeah, I think they would. I said, well, we have this, and this. And I laid my hand on the wall of the building. And I said, well, when these pieces land in your lap, I was like, do you do it or don't you do it? And my wife had her little ghost thing on and it said, do it. And I'm like, this thing hadn't made a sound the whole time we were there. You know what I mean? Until I asked this question after I said all this stuff, you know? I don't know, man. I've heard stories that Eddie Graham walks the halls of that building to this day. So I don't know, man. I think we got a okay from beyond that night. There's the ghost story.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So, you know, where does the name reviving the name of the promotion? Where does that come into play?
Well, in my research is to find out about the building and whatnot. I started researching who owned the name, and a guy named Harry Venus. He's actually a mayor over in Davie, Florida. I'd never met him, but I'd seen him a few different times or whatever. And I called, I got his phone number and I called him with every intention on offering to buy the name. But something told me that, as the phone's ringing, something in the back of my mind told me, man, don't ask this man to buy that name. Ask him to be a part of it. And as soon as he picks up the phone, I introduced myself. I told him, what was going on. And he asked me who I was involved with in this, project. And I started telling him some of the guys. And he said, definitely, no problem. Use it all you want. So I ended up getting the name. I ended up getting the building. And it's like all the pieces just started falling like without force. It's just amazing. It's almost like the hand of God himself is involved in this because it's happening so easily, But we're gonna work the best with it, man. We got some pretty good people involved. Ricky Santana, I'm sure you know him. He was one of the original guys from CWF and WCW, and genius of a guy. I've had a great time getting to know him over the years. He's involved in it. Barry Horowitz, another guy who was an original CWF guy. I've met him years ago, and I've become pretty good friends with him too. He wants to be involved with this, and some other guys from the Legends Luncheon: Brian Blair, Hector Guerrero, Frankie Reyes.
Yeah, Sean Phil. A couple. I mean, a lot of guys. I mean, I don't leave so many people out because we'd be here all day. But a lot of permanent names, a lot of good guys, no bad resumes, just because that's the main thing we're trying to do. Because you go to a lot of these shows and you got a name there, but he's a little bit of a douche, you know what I mean? And he can't really work like he used to, but he wants that pay like he used to. We're doing it old school, you know what I mean? Like it's got to be right. You got to go from bell to bell, and we don't want no BS in the back. You know what I mean?
Now every guy involved is top notch. So.
Exactly.
Now, of course, that name, because it was a big weight. What does that name CWF mean to you? Championship Wrestling Florida. What does that name mean to you? First with you, Preston.
Well, like I say, I told you like last time, my uncle, he was friends with Ron Simmons and whatnot, and they used to talk all the time about, Dusty Rose, and like I used to hear that name before I knew who he was. You know what I mean? And then like when I finally got to watching some stuff, it was everything I used to look up. It was always, most of it was there in that actual building, and just like Jeff was saying, a lot of historic things have happened in that building. Like, I mean, you can just go to YouTube, and just look up some stuff, and look up the Graham matches, the Rhodes matches, the like everybody was down there at that time. Wrestling was really big in Florida, and I mean, people were watching matches that were happening in Florida, but they're watching them, basically worldwide. You know what I mean? Hogan was down there. Flair was down there. You know what I mean? Whenever he came down to the territory, he'd go wrestle 45 minutes, to a draw. You know what I mean? So, like I say, for me, like, just like I said last time, when I used to be, marking out or whatever they call it, or, just before I got into business, I used to always say, like, if I could be a ref, you know what I mean? Like, if I could just be security, that'd be the coolest thing in the world to me. You know what I mean? And now I'm like, was a wrestler and I'm still a wrestler, but now, luckily, met up with the right people, and now I'm on the other side as well. And it's for it to be such a a passionate thing and such a prestigious name, like we just want to add as much as we can to it without taking away from it. You know what I mean? We're gonna keep it the same way it was. You're not gonna be here watching no 450 and all that and all that other crap. All right. I know you're out. You're out, Jordan. So sorry, but like I say, we want it because when you hear that name, you're not thinking about. I mean, this is no offense, but you're not thinking about a Matt Seidel or anything. You're thinking about the old school guys. You're thinking about storylines. You're thinking about hard hitting. You're thinking about the classic stuff, and that's what we want to bring.
And then finally, of course, Jeff, tell me what that name means to you, and what can we maybe expect too from the new reincarnation.
Well, yeah, for me, it's the same way. Where I fell in love with professional wrestling was, what came right there out of that building with Gordon Soley and everybody. So just the opportunity to bring that back and hopefully be able to present it in a way where the legends get their due and the world gets to see that Florida still has the best wrestling talent in all the world. You got guys like Eddie Torres and David Mercury out here, Prestin Caine. You got guys like this that have been out here breaking their backs for years, and it's time the world knows who they are. There's guys all over the state. Zach Monstar, that guy's incredible. People need to know who he is. I mean, the way he destroys his body, he might not be around much longer, I mean, you never know with that guy. So, it's time, and just the pieces landed at the right time. This COVID is horrible, but it's kind of leveled out the playing field, Yeah, Vince has the most money, but he can't pack houses anymore. So that giant lead that he has, I mean, it's not that giant anymore. You know what I'm saying? Look at AEW. They're doing the same type of show he's doing, and they don't got nowhere near the budget. So I think we got the right plan in place to build a business off of, and I think we're going to be able to do something good with this.
Can you give us any kind of a time frame, a location?
Well, the problem with the COVID is nobody's been wanting to do their job. So I ended up being asked to take over construction on the building by the guy who owns it. I meet him Monday, and he has all the plans. He's handing them all over to me. And then I'll have my crews in there by the 28th. So hopefully, I'd like to say inside of a month, maybe the very first of the year at the latest, and we should be up and running in that.
And what kind of location too? Are we? All right, can you give us an exact? Where are we? You said the old building, or where are we going out of?
Yeah, it's going to be 106 North Albany, Tampa, Florida, the Sportatorium.
Dang!
It's not going to just be. It's not going to just be a wrestling venue. It's going to be a Hall of Fame and museum as well. There's quite a few of the legends that would like to put their stuff on display there, and it's the perfect place for something like that to happen.
Yeah, we've been in contact with the what is it, Jeff, the grandson or the son of Gordon Soley?
Oh yes, Gordon Soley's son, Jannard.
Yeah, and shout out to Frankie Reyes. Frankie Reyes
Oh
brought
God.
in. I mean, so many legends. That, like, if we tell you all the names, you're gonna think we just legend dropping. You know what I mean? So we're not gonna do it. But
no, if it wasn't for Frankie, this wouldn't even be this far along.
Yeah,
he was pertinent.
That first show, just bring your camera. That's all I'm gonna say. Just the people that are gonna be sitting around the ring are gonna be, legends. You know what I mean? So
it's gonna be insane.
That first show, bring your camera, man.
You mentioned names like Eddie Torres, David Mercury. Any kind of other names you guys want to say you're keeping your eye on? Who you watching closely?
Well, to be honest, we got everybody. I mean, we could tell you a couple more names, but I mean,
Yeah.
I could tell you guys like Poppy.
Those guys know who they are.
Yeah, and I give them a couple more though. We could tell you guys like Poppy. I mean, obviously, Damian Angel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Obviously,
sure.
And
You gotta have him.
yeah, and like, I mean, and we'll keep everything else under wraps, and we'll let it come out, strategically.
Yeah.
I had to ask.
Oh, you ain't wrong. You ain't wrong.
Anything else you can give us, guys? Anything at all that you want to say? You want to let the people know? When can we expect some more news? Just from free form for you two.
Well, I'll go first, and then I'll let Jeff take it home. But just please tune in. It's gonna be exactly what you've seen last time. It's gonna be around that. It's gonna be family fun. It's gonna be just old school. You know what I mean? I mean, I can't say any more than that. Just it's gonna be old school. It's gonna be classic Florida wrestling.
All right, Mr. Weaver, talk to us.
That's it. I mean, just what he said. We're planning on doing a whole lot of things. With some of the other promotions around the state. Because just coming out here and naming off guys like we did. Those guys are good. They work on different shows. So it's, Championship Wrestling from Florida isn't just one show. It's all the shows going on in Florida. So where you see shows going on in Florida, you're going to see Championship Wrestling from Florida doing what they can to help push those promotions and push those guys there. So, yeah, it's not
we're not trying to crush
different than it was.
Well, guys, I know a lot of people truly are excited about this, and rightfully so. I think we have the right minds behind it. I know I'm looking forward to just seeing it. I think there's a lot of buzz going on, and will continue to. Definitely check out, obviously, all their social medias. Continue to stay up to date on Championship Wrestling from Florida. I think it's something that's definitely wanted, and I wish you guys the best of luck. I think it's going to be a lot of fun here in the coming months and hey, in years and so on.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And thank you again, Jordan, for having us on, man. I appreciate it. A few minutes to just, kind of tell people what we're doing here.
Absolutely, man. And hey, definitely, I'd love to keep updated on all things going on. So, a few months, a couple months, whatever, we'll get back together, talk about more, talk about, when you got the first show lined up, we'll talk about that. Definitely have you guys back here.
Awesome.
I planned on it. So, hey, we'll be back. All right.
Good to hear, guys. Definitely keep checking that out. Championship Wrestling from Florida. You can see it. Bam, look at that beautiful logo again. Just want to show that again. Keep them up to date on social media.
Your heart warm when you see that thing.
Absolutely, man. And anyone that's paid attention to wrestling, especially here in the state of Florida, you know from day one, I obviously knew about the lineage. So great to see that it's making a revival, and by the right people too, I think. Prestin Caine, Jeff Weaver, JPO, Jordan Pierce Owens. Thank you for checking out Kayfabe Corner, and as always, keep it Kayfabe. Thank you. Good night.